Christians, I really want you to examine yourselves as you watch this video. I've just watched the most heart-wrenching YouTube video I've ever seen. In the video, there's a family law judge viciously beating his 16-year-old daughter with his belt in tandem with a verbal assault. The girl shrieks in pain for mercy, but the beating continues. I had to force myself to watch the entire video because I wanted to turn it off, but I felt like I owed it to the girl to watch. I can't even recommend that everyone watch this video because it triggered deep and dark emotions in me. It's hard to know what triggers this powerful video would have on someone who experienced something like this. Judge William Adams, a judge in Texas who rules on cases of child abuse, is the man who viciously beat his daughter. He beat her despite the fact she suffered from cerebral palsy. He beat her despite the fact that he's a judge, and he knows it's a criminal assault. He beat her despite the fact that she's his daughter. He beat her and beat her and beat her. When that wasn't enough, he had to emotionally abuse her at the end of the beating. He beat her for being disrespectful by loading a computer program. I'm an atheist. There are people out there who call me immoral because of my lack of belief. There are people out there who can't fathom how I could have any kind of system of ethical values. There are billboards I drive past on my way to work that say that I'm un-American, and the subtext is that I'm also a terrorist. People have told me in all seriousness that they think that all atheists should either be rounded up in camps or be deported, not knowing that I was one of those people that they were talking about. According to polls taken in the United States, the population of my own country thinks that I'm in the least moral and least trustworthy demographic there is. It's amazing how the brainwashing dogma of Christianity makes good people see things completely backwards. I think what happened in this video is depraved, disgusting, hideous, and evil. It is the most grotesque thing I've seen on YouTube. This video shredded my proverbial soul. I felt pity, anguish, and desperation in my helpless voyeurism. To the father I felt hatred, condemnation, and even a kind of social malice, a desire to see him stripped of all government duties, to see him mocked and insulted for the coward he is, to see him thrown in jail. The video was powerful. The triggers were hurtful, and it left me sitting in silence for a few minutes as I examined my reaction to it. I have talked about the child abuse inherent in Christianity, but I've never seen it. It was always an academic debate. This video made it real. I wanted justice. I wanted morality. I wanted more than anything to protect the girl. Despite my atheism, my response was very human. But Christianity's response is to do nothing but shrug its shoulders. Christianity not only permits this behavior, it prescribes this behavior. Christianity would have the father switch out the belt for a rod. Christianity would have the father beat this poor girl to death for being disrespectful. Christianity would yell, "You have not gone far enough. Now let's get the men of the town and beat her with stones until she is dead." This video is the very thing that Christianity approves of. According to the Christian religion, the judge did nothing wrong when he beat his daughter. In fact, what he did is what Christianity told him to do. These beatings occurred so many times that the girl knew she could catch it on videotape. But the judge is faultless in your Christian view. Whether this judge is a Christian or not is irrelevant to my point. Although I imagine that if he's an elected official in Texas, he probably is. The point is that you Christians have to accept that what this man did was good. And you have to tell me that I'm wrong in calling it evil. You have to congratulate the judge and cheer for him every time he hits her for the glory of God. Christians, you have no room to say what this man did was wrong, because this vile and pathetic treatment of other human beings is condoned in your holy book. A literal reading of Deuteronomy 21 would have the men of the town beat her to death with stones, if she was unfortunate enough to be born a son instead of a daughter. If Bible verses just suggest the gist of how laws are supposed to work, then I'm sure it's not a stretch to see that this same punishment can be applied to daughters as well as sons. Christians, your book of wise sayings, the Proverbs, gets it completely backwards when it says that if this man didn't beat his daughter, then it shows that he hates her. Whoever spares the rod hates their children. I'm not even taking any of this out of context. Go ahead and read your book of hatred and child abuse. Proverbs 22:15, folly is bound up in the heart of the child, but the rod of discipline will drive it far away. Proverbs 23:13, do not withhold discipline from a child. If you punish them with a rod, they will not die. Unfortunately, we've proven this wrong several times in the United States in just this decade. It's a good thing she didn't curse her parents, because Exodus 21:17 and Leviticus 29 would say that the proper response would be to execute the poor girl. These instructions for abuse aren't exaggeration. They aren't metaphor. and they aren't a form of humor and poor taste. These are actual instructions to Yahweh's followers. You might try and pull some theological acrobats to try to condemn the actions of this man, but you can't. Your Bible plainly says that a child should be beaten when they are disrespectful, and in other instances, it says that they should be killed. It doesn't restrict how many times you hit the child, or where you hit the child, or how hard you hit the child. You just have to stop short of death, unless you have the rest of the town at your back armed with stones. The umbrella offense of being disrespectful to parents covers anything that a parent wants it to. There are no restrictions. This judge did the Christian thing when he beat his daughter into screaming submission with his belt. If anything, in Christianity's point of view, this punishment was taking it easy on her because it switched out the disciplining weapon. So Christian, which one of us is immoral? Which one of us has ethical values? Which one of us approves of a man beating his daughter for a few minutes as she shrieks in pain and misery? Christianity is vile, but you don't have to be. Reject that theology. Reject the doctrine. Reject the love of child abuse. Reject the approval of evil actions. Reject the evil tyrant of a God. You are better than this. This law was made by the God who never changes, so don't delude yourself into thinking that God isn't like this anymore. There is no moral system built into atheism, but that doesn't mean that atheists aren't moral. You could say that there is no color inherently required for a shape to be considered a circle, but that doesn't mean that all circles lack color. People, I want you to examine your religion and the morals therein. The same way that Christianity told the judge to beat his daughter and for you to accept it, Christianity has told you to hate me, consider me stupid, and cast me out of your social circles. With a looser interpretation of the Bible, it's not hard to make a case that your religion sanctions my murder. This is why Christianity needs to be stopped. It tricks people into thinking that evil actions are righteous. It demands that you shut off your intellect for the sake of conformity. It justifies the otherwise unthinkable physical assault of a child into shrieking submission.